Hydrate power. You're in the dog zone for an hour. Come on. You know the number. 1-900 hot dog. 1-900 hot dog. 1-900 hot dog. Yeah, 9,000.
Welcome to the DOGGZZONE 9000, the official podcast of 1-900hotdog, America's final comedy website. Come support us at patreon.com/1900hotdog if you like this podcast, if you want to hear hundreds of bonus episodes, if you like our other more successful podcasts, I don't know why I'm plugging it here, Big Feats, or if you just want to read new daily comedy articles by the last living comedy writers before they are no longer living. You can check out our store at 1900hotdog.com, or watch our animated DOGGZZONE episodes and our video Big Feats episodes featuring our real, actual human faces on YouTube at 1900hotdog. Any way you choose to support us is great. I'm Robert Brockway, and if this podcast is an airplane musical, I'm probably the non-speaking biker who gets judo thrown by a stewardess. And with me is my comedy partner and judo stewardess, Seanbaby.
I'm Seanbaby here with the Brockway Fact. He's a terrific guy, and I'm glad he's back. No follow-up questions!
Are you lying? You fuck, I need that one question. And our guest, multiple Emmy Award-winning writer, comedian, and backwards-running little hand-dancing spider freak, it's Daniel O'Brien.
Hello! Thank you so much for having me. Sorry, I'm a little bit farther from the mic. Let me do my preferred method of transportation. There we go. Here I am. Much better.
Excellent Foley work there. Before we delve into this, Dan, where can people find more from you?
You can find more from me on the podcast Quick Question that I do with Soren Bowie, a writer for American Dad and a former cracked expat like myself, like all of us. We release one episode a week on, I want to say, podcast apps. And we release a bonus episode every other week for our Patreon subscribers. We talk about, you know how you'll listen to the intro of this podcast and it's a couple of white comedy mates just like shooting the shit for a little while until they get into the meat of the episode. They have a thing they're going to talk about and that becomes the show. Quick Question wonders, what if the whole show was just the bullshitting whites in the beginning? And we are taking it to its logical conclusion, which will be our inevitable cancellation. But in the meantime, two comedy writers and best friends talk on the phone once a week and let you listen to it.
I think as we've established, the logical conclusion of the two whites on a podcast just kind of shooting the shit is far-right collapse of the government.
Yeah, that's well, there are a couple of avenues open to us now. We can self-cancel when we realize that the world doesn't need two more whites talking into a microphone, or we could pivot into the easiest grift in America, become far-right podcasters, and then who knows? Maybe one of us will be like Secretary of Transportation next year. We don't know.
For a week.
Well, we have a Jordan Peterson book next week, and Brockway and I are going to sit around and just say, wow, that sounds really interesting to all the fucking crazy dingbat shit he says. And I think that'll go pretty well.
That's all it takes. Doesn't matter what else you've said. We're going, this is not a great intro. This is not, I promise, this is not what the podcast is about. The podcast, you're not going to believe me when I tell you what the podcast is about. But today we're talking about a Virgin Airlines musical safety video from 2010. That's really what we're talking about. I know we often cover cursed artifacts from beyond this dimension here, and I swear to God, it doesn't sound like one. It's definitely one. They should never have made this. There's a universe where this makes sense, but it's not ours. And Dan actually wrote about this from the site, but there's a lot more to explore here.
I sincerely appreciate you guys letting me write an astonishing 4,000 words on this airline safety video.
Didn't even scratch the surface.
Truly didn't scratch the surface. And when I pitched it to you guys, like, in true lazy pitching fashion, where in the back of my mind was like, at the end of the day, I just want to talk about this video until I'm tired. I'm sure I'll have some kind of thesis. I'm sure I'll like log on to something, and I just truly didn't. The pitch was like, here are some bullet points of things that I think will form the arc of this piece, and then once I started writing it, I was like, well, I gotta throw out that entire outline because
okay. I know I'm worried I'm gonna fuck up a bit you're doing,
Okay.
but for the listeners, Daniel's pitch was 10 to 20 times better than any pitch we've ever gotten on the site, ever. It was so detailed. It was almost a full article. I mean, like, it needed to get fleshed out, of course, but, like, it was very detailed. It was the easiest yes ever. Like, it was like, yeah, yes, dude, this is fantastic. Normally, a pitch comes in. It's like, I think there was a cartoon in the 90s where they merged into one panda. Anyway, if I can find it, how about that?
Where it got away from me is, I think when I was outlining the pitch for you guys, there was like one bullet point that was going to be, I summarize what happens in the music video, and then another bullet point would be, here's some behind the scenes stuff, and then a third bullet point would be, here are some like broader thoughts about airline safety videos. It's that first bullet point of summarizing the video that completely got away from me, because there's so much stimulation every frame of this fucking thing, and I realized that I was 3,000 plus words into this article, and I was still just summarizing what happened in the video for the readers. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to get into my broader points at all. I think I have to just completely abandon that.
I think we should maybe follow your gut on that initial format. And like, we'll start off, my format pitch for this is we'll start off talking and describing, the actual video and what happens in it. And then at the end, we'll get into the several crimes that took place in and around it. Like puppet rules. It's puppet rules.
This is maybe the first podcast I've done for us where I have no notes for this part. Like, this came out when I was living in San Francisco and working in LA. And also, I was single, so I was pursuing relationships in several other locations. And I saw this probably 2 to 10 times a week, every week for at least a year.
Yeah. I saw it so many times when I lived in LA and was traveling a lot. I want to say I was also pursuing relationships in different states like a cool guy. I was probably going to like...
You don't think that's a dirtbag? You think that's a cool guy? I thought, should I say this out loud?
I was going to Calgary's version of Comic-Con. That's why I was flying back and forth so much.
I was fucking my way across the country. Not cool guy stuff. I saw this once, and it was my first time on Virgin Airlines, which is a very different vibe, at least back in, I don't know, when they did like 2013 or something. I had never taken it before, and I got on, and they have like all of their weird mood lighting, and then they still have their like slick uniforms. I'm like, I feel, is everybody gonna fuck on this plane? Is this like a swingers plane? And then that video came on, and I'm like, this is the flight safety video? I'm on the orgy plane for sure.
Yes. Yeah. It's Richard Branson's company, and he definitely wanted it to be like, this is the plane that fucks, and the plane for people who fuck. That spirit didn't really expand beyond floor and ceiling lights on the plane and this one safety video.
Yep.
And I would say you can tell they want. It's like going to an actual like sex club. Everybody there wants to fuck, but they're not gonna.
Yeah,
they're not gonna. The people actually fucking are somewhere else.
Always.
It starts off with some sexy stewardesses catwalking the concourse, and it has, like, immediately you're in trouble because it's got, like, that fake, overly saccharine 50s doo-wop throwback we did for a couple of years after Amy Winehouse died. We're like, yeah, let's ruin that.
This had a big part in ruining that.
Play a little sample.
Oh, yeah.
Trust me, it's something that you wanna hear. So honey, sip your lips and enjoy the show before we move into the stratosphere.
Yeah, that sucks.
Here's what might be controversial, and that I tried to address in the article as well. That like if you're having a good time listening to that song, it's okay. I had a great time in it. Like I'm not too proud to say I enjoyed this music. I still question its existence because every time I flew Virgin and they played this and I got to the end of the song and the end like really gets you pumped up, you're still getting pumped up to sit quietly for like 6 hours.
Yeah,
it's weird. It's like, I don't love ending the safety video hard as a fucking rock and ready to party. And they're like, all right, now don't forget, don't move and stay chained to your seat unless it's an emergency.
I think I've mentioned on the podcast before that I kind of hate sharing big positive moments with strangers. Like, at concerts or shows or whatever. Like, I just don't trust random assholes with my vulnerability. And that's my thing. I got to deal with that. But like, in addition to that, right, you'll never catch me crankier than when I just went through multiple lines and all these Gestapo checkpoints just to cram into a seat made to hold 2/3 of me high. I'm doing a 90s stand-up bit. Jamie, we can cut all this. But like, the point is, when this fucking song came on and it like builds to this big show-stopping finish, I hated it so much. It like clawed at my soul.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's like really competent, but not entertaining or good.
Correct.
And it's really cringy, but like not hard enough to be funny. And so when there's this huge emotional climax, it just pisses me off. It's like, so I don't know. You say you enjoy it, but I think if I caught someone enjoying this in the seat next to me and I didn't know him, I'd snap their neck, put a hat on them. I'd tell the robot dancing flight attendant, I'd say, do me a favor, don't disturb my friend, he's still tired. Exactly how that would go down. If I caught you tapping a toe, neck snap.
Man.
I'm glad we're running the full gamut of opinions here, from hate, and kind of like.
Yeah. And I'm glad that when Sean and I both lived on the West Coast, we had completely different agendas with our flights, because God help me if I sat next to him. But luckily, we were going to very different places.
It's just a sitcom seat arrangement, the two of you. That ends in murder, of course. One of those sitcoms.
Dan's up there sighing. He hears the neck snap. He's like, God damn it, Sean.
All right, the guy that you heard singing there, that's Todrick Hall, and he's sort of the spearhead of at least the musical part of this. He's named like a Skyrim produce merchant, but he was a semi-finalist on American Idol in 2010.
Yeah.
And this was filmed in 2013, so that's the kind of star power that comes with succeeding on American Idol.
Okay. He was like 15th on American Idol, so it's...
Yeah, that's pretty far, though.
That's right.
And, like, he would...
A lot of eyes got on him. I think he became like a gay icon. Like, I think he did okay on Instagram. Yeah. Like...
He's good on the internet. He got a YouTube channel out of this, for what that's worth, and apparently it's worth a lot. And we'll get to the crimes that led to eventually.
Jesus.
Nobody else did the more thorough research on this. I think Dan started to touch on it.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get there. First, here's this crime.
So won't you buckle your seatbelt, pull it down tight, and keep your in that chair until we turn off that light. Turn your electrical devices off as fast as you can.
Here's a question. They self-censored ass, I'm assuming. Because it says, so keep your...
Mm-hmm.
You don't hear what he would say. And they all go, whoop, in that chair.
Right.
He could have... The word could have just been butt.
I think they're lame enough they were self-censoring butt.
You think they were self-censoring butt? Okay.
Yes.
I think that's a very kind read of the situation. I thought butt is G-rated. If they wanted to say butt, they could have said butt. If they self-censor, that implies that they are covering up ass. That ass is the word in the lyrics that we're not allowed to hear because that's too adult for flyers. And that seemed like a very strange move to me.
Well, I was going to say, for iambic pentameter, dripping hog is the right number of syllables to slide in there. So I always thought it was dripping hog.
According to the Jason Pargin mandate, anytime they censor a word and don't specify what that is, it's cum.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Keep your cum in the chair.
Keep your cum in the chair.
Makes sense.
That's how I get to Burbank.
At the end, you could hear it a little bit at the end of that clip. They're talking about the electronic devices, and for that, all the stewardesses crowd around a nun who doesn't want to turn off her phone, and it really lets you know early what the vibe of this video is going to be. It feels like one of those robot puns. Like, it's got elements of the setup and sort of the cadence of a joke, but it's definitely not.
The nun is an insane throwback joke. You're right, because it's not like the whole plane is full of archetypes as broad as nun, as
right.
like single serving one panel comic visual of a nun in terms of clarity. And as soon as you see her, it's a grandma in an Adam Sandler movie. You see the nun on the plane, you're like, I bet that nun's going to do something pretty un-nun-like. I bet. And sure enough, the nun shimmies as a burlesque dancer would shimmy their
full titty shake.
Their titties. Yeah. the nun does that. It's like completely delivering on the fifth grader premise that you expect when you see a nun on a plane.
But they're not quite landing on it. Because it's like the nun would do something. I'll give you the titty shake. That's what the nun should do, right? But they use her to be like, oh, she loves her phone so much. But then they cast a hot nun. So you're like, why would a young nun not use a phone? Because like that's not in the Bible. I've seen them use phones. That's fine. I don't know what you're doing here. It's like they're picking up the exploded shrapnel of a joke and trying to put together what used to be that joke. It's anyway, it reminds me of these 10 nun puns from the AI pun site monsteria.com.
God fucking damn it.
Aren't you glad to have me back?
I take it back.
You said something so nice and sincere, and here's my answer to that. Why did the nun join the army? To pray as they shoot.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
I love Daniel's like decades of keen comedy writing skills and how like they're going to shatter against the wall of this robot's best guess at what a pun might be. Because I bet the wheels were turning like, okay, nun, army, that's good. And then just like, no, there's no foundation.
Yeah. I was really thinking like, is the joke going to go dark enough that it's like the nun hoping this will bring them to God sooner?
Right.
And I was like, that's too dark and it's not even a joke yet. And then Brockway comes in with, I don't want to call it a punchline.
It's certainly not that.
It's the most coherent the robot can be, but it's definitely, it forgot to make a pun, it forgot to make a joke. It's just like, yeah, nuns are there to pray as young men kill each other. Next joke, please.
Feed souls to her husband. And that's not quite there yet, but like in that direction, I feel like.
And still somehow darker than going to war to see God sooner. Because then it's just like the nuns are just like, I don't know, maybe in the future that's a function that they'll have, to go to war and just like pray on the sidelines because none of this is good.
Why don't nuns tan? They prefer to keep their bodies holy, not holy tan.
Oh shit.
Fuck you.
Oh my God. God, I feel like the language center of my brain unraveling. Like
That's what it is. It's spaghettification. It's when you go into a black hole and you're just pulled into little tiny strands. That's what it does to any sense of comedy as you like try to grab onto something.
There are some and I hate to shit on other writers, so I won't name any, but back in the crack.com days as an editor, we had to punch up a lot of articles that came in, and sometimes it's just like a quick polish, and sometimes it was like top to bottom rewrite. And you wanted to preserve the original writer's work as much as possible. We didn't want every article to sound the same, and we didn't want to we like our writers. We wanted them to learn, and we wanted them to be able to point to an article and say, this is what I did. And there were some of them that would come in where an entry or a paragraph would be so fucking bad that I actually had to delete it wholly and just like strip it down to like, what are the links and the sources and facts in this article, because having the old words there were too distracting that my comedy brain wouldn't come out. I was like, I need to get rid of these because the comedy, it doesn't feel safe to my brain right now, so it's hiding. And that's how I feel about these nun jokes, where it's like, I can't, my mind is not going to do any creative work under these conditions.
Exactly.
Where words are treated so carelessly.
Daniel, do you remember when you took over as the editor of all the columns, you asked me to punch up a new columnist's work, and you said, just like, let me know like what you change as you go through. And I'm like, and I took that as like, you can't be serious. But then I just like did it. And I think I sent you a document that was maybe 2,000 words of like every little thing I did. It was almost sarcastic, but I feel like you got the spirit it was intended in. And I think you thought it was fun. I don't know if you remember that, but
yeah. I don't remember it, but it all sounds like, yeah, I actually don't remember a second of that. Huh. Folks gotta remember, this was 2015. We were all on so much fucking coke back then.
Oh my God, the cocaine flowed.
Speaking of, what do you call a nun who is always on a diet? A semi-convent.
God damn it. What could that possibly mean?
I just like that it allowed me to get away with a totally nonsensical transition.
God.
Did you say nonsensical transition? Motherfucker, did you just say none?
No, but that would have been great. No, that's your brain looking for puns because now you didn't want puns, but now that you're being actively denied them, your brain is going, give me.
Yeah.
I distinctly heard it.
This is how AI succeeds, not by being better than us, but by destroying our brains. Like, if you feed me enough of these, my brain is going to go, I don't know, maybe that was a pun. I don't know. Maybe that's what puns are.
Yep.
And then if we all get a little bit dumber, then AI will seem really impressive to us.
Okay, so Daniel's exactly right because I actually kind of like the next one.
Let's hear it.
2 nuns were in a bath. One asks the other, where's the soap? The other replies, it's none your business.
I was just about to say none your business. Almost interrupted to say none your business.
So it made the pun and also implied that nuns are hiding soap in their vaginas.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm glad that we're all on the same page there.
That's not just you. That's the only place it can go.
Wow.
I'm honestly a little proud of the robot for that one. It's the last time that's going to happen. Here's the next one. Why was the nun always singing? Because her mother was a chant.
So she's like a Gregorian monk now. She's no longer a nun.
Her mother was a chant?
Her mother was a chant.
I'm
so generous that I'm trying to figure out where the robot...
I can follow the family circus robot trail.
Okay, let's do it.
So she's not... The robot knows nuns have something to do with monks, and monks chant. Some monks do, anyway. There you go. The robot's now...
Okay, so it's not a family circus like line throughout the cartoon. It's 2 dashes,
and then it hits a wall, goes to the hospital. It wakes up and says some gibberish, and they say, little family circus boy, you were dead for 8 minutes. And...
what do you call a nun who likes motorcycles? Sister Harley.
Okay.
Sure.
It's not a pun, it's not a joke, but it has enough ingredients to it that I understand it.
I think that's actually what you would just call that. Like, yeah, that's probably what they do.
It's a 7 out of 10 nickname.
Here's another great one. Why couldn't the bicycle stand up by itself? It was too tired and the nun didn't want to get involved.
Are you hey, are you fucking with me?
I'm not.
I love how like traces of the previous one were made. It like said, hey, we're doing bike puns, right? Wait, no shit, nun puns.
The robot panics, and this happens all the time. The robot will steal a joke from just, crawling the internet, and it will be a legible joke, and then it'll be like, oh, wait, that doesn't have anything to do with nuns. Here's something to do with nuns, and it just puts it on the end of the sentence. Sometimes it'll just be the word nun at the end of a sentence, and it'll be like, that fulfilled my duty.
The poor machines know that every punchline could be none your business if they want.
Yep.
They could go to that well as many times as they want. We don't, be a hack robot. That's fine. You don't have pride to get hurt.
I wish it did.
Just like in The Shining, but the page is just none your business all the way down. Here's where it gets weird, because I usually pick these when I go to pick these. I just stick to the very top section, because these pages will have 800 puns. And the top section is like, here's the editor's picks. And I find that especially funny because there's absolutely no editor, and they're the worst. They're the worst ones. So these are from the editor's picks at the top of the page. It did this all on its own. Why did the nun refuse to fly? She didn't trust the flying buttress.
Isn't there, famously a flying nun?
There's a famous flying nun.
Yeah, there is. Also, heaven, angel's wings. There's a lot to play with there. But it went for architecture?
God damn it.
However, here's the next one. What do you call a nun in a wheelchair? Virgin Mobile.
Oh.
Hey!
Hold on a second.
Wait, no.
Uh-huh.
Hold on a second. I award that one actual real joke. The highest award I can give a robot in peacetime.
Can I can I ask you, is a nun in a wheelchair more mobile than a nun not in a wheelchair?
Oh, it's half a point now.
We thought about it too long. It's unraveling.
It was as close as it gets to a joke, but here's the crazy thing. There's only, I picked 10 out of 15 of these. And 3 of them, the next one does too, have to do with airlines, and one specifically with the company Virgin. It's like when you talk about a product and then you start getting ads for that product, and you're like, you shouldn't be listening. The robot's listening. Your final airport joke and the final AI pun. Why did the nun go to the airport with a suitcase full of carrots?
Just let me think about it. Just
Hold
let me
on,
think
hold
about
on.
it for a second.
None of your business would work. Because fuck you. These are my carrots. You don't need to know.
Why did the nun go to the airport with a suitcase full of carrots? Rabbits like carrots. Rabbits don't fly. Easter is a religious holiday. Easter bunny flying. They wanted to make sure the Easter bunny followed them. It's not a joke or a pun.
See,
but there's...
But you're trying to decode the robot's thinking?
Yeah.
This is why I don't usually give you time to think, because it just leads to human error messages all the way down. Why? And you're never gonna beat the robot's failure. You're never gonna fail as hard as the robot. So why did the nun go to the airport with a suitcase full of carrots? She heard her flight was boarding with air carrot-a-roll.
Whoa.
What? That was, I mean, in my own defense, that was going to be my next guess.
Yeah,
if
you
give
would've
me
got
just
there.
a few more
Yeah, of
seconds.
course. You would have got there. Right after the Easter bunny, cholesterol, carrot, air carrot-a-roll. That was the best the robots can do, and somehow we are losing. We're losing.
I do wonder, so these robots, the AI robots are self-trained on what we have fed them, essentially, correct? Like they're trolling the internet for every joke that has ever been written and trying to learn from that. Is that correct?
Theoretically.
Roughly?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I am very curious how much more creative or what it would unlock in my brain if I retrained myself to write jokes in this specific manner. Because it seems like it would unlock a new skill set. There's a chance that it would just completely destroy my brain forever. But Julie Wiener, shout out Julie, one of the greatest joke, like straight up set up punchline joke writers I've ever met in my entire fucking life. Before we worked together at Last Week Tonight, and she knew she wanted a job in late night comedy, she would watch like every late night comedic show and go to the monologues and pause it after the setup of every single joke and then write what she thinks the punchlines were going to be and give herself like 4 alts for each punchline and then play and see like how accurate she was to like learn in different voices and learn about joke writing like a joke maniac. I wonder what would happen to me if I just tried to do that with nun puns, where you just feed me setups. If I would eventually figure out the robot patterns, and then I would start to line up and anticipate what they were going to say. I don't know if it would make me a better writer, but it would unveil a new speed that's previously been inaccessible to me.
I feel like it could only harm, but it would access like there's an inhuman kind of absurdity. Like we all kind of grew up with the same alt comedy, and so we have like a safe area of like, here's where you say something very silly that doesn't make any sense, but like it makes sense. Yeah, you know. Whereas the robot's just like, I am not constrained by these rules. I will fucking
That's right.
take a case of carrots to the Catterall. You're like,
yeah,
whoa.
I would certainly get fired at work if I came in and I turned in a script to John Oliver and he was like, hey, what's this about? He was flying on air Caratol? And I was like, yeah, that sounds like a joke to me.
Yeah, it's good. You're going to have to sell it in the performance like you're a fucking do it.
It kind of looks like a joke. I mean, don't look at it, but it kind of looks like a joke. I think if you ever take yourself up on that experiment and you actually do come up with something as bad as she heard her flight was boarding with air carrot-a-roll, I would snap your neck and put a hat on you. All right, let's get back to the video now that I've thoroughly derailed your comedy brains. Try to make jokes now, you fuckers. Back to the video. We pan across a series of passengers who are contorting themselves into sickening shapes, and then at the end, a boring businessman is looking at them in confusion with his seatbelt buckled, and that's to visually illustrate the following passive-aggressive seatbelt instructions.
For the 0.001% of you who have never operated a seatbelt before, really? I mean, it works like this. Insert the metal end into the buckle until it clicks, and pull on the loose end to tighten, making sure it fits slow and tight across your lap.
I love that the safety video is immediately condescending to people who might need help with safety instructions. I think it's an incredible way to start.
Yeah.
You're like, if anyone doesn't know how to work a seatbelt, really, you fucking idiot. And people are sitting there, it's like, well, first of all, I didn't ask for this safety video to be put on. Second of all, it's my first time flying, and not for nothing, these seatbelts are different than the seatbelts that are in cars. So yes, it's kind of a new experience.
And third, like, fuck am I gonna ask for help now?
Yeah.
I feel like after the once you break the seal of sarcasm on this type of thing in the airport, where they just like took your toothpaste away because they think it's a terrorist bomb, it's like, no, you're not allowed to like fucking know what shit is now, you dumb assholes. Right. like we're all playing this sort of theatrical game of safety.
Right. I emptied my water bottle out in 2024 because in 2006, one person tried to sneak poison in a water bottle onto a plane.
It's completely insane. And you are not allowed to joke there. You can't, like, if they say,
No.
hey, did you pack your own bags? You can't say, oh, no, I was running late, so I fucking let a shadowy intruder into my home.
Really?
And I don't know what they put in there, but, like, they seem friendly.
Speaking from a place of experience. My problem with this is how wrong they get the visual metaphor, because they show us these contorting passengers, and in order it's a attractive, well-dressed young black man and a very quirky, also attractive young woman who are contorting themselves. And at the end, the guy obeying is the boring white businessman who's like, visual shorthand is, this is the man. You don't want to be like the man. You want to be free like these people. And then they're like, yeah. They put on their safety belts, they stop contorting, and they sit perfectly still as though the souls have been drained from their bodies.
For our listeners who haven't read the article or watched the video, Brockway's very serious about these. These are like highly skilled contortionists. We're not just like making fun of bendy people. These are like probably professional contortionists who just do this in circuses or wherever you book contortionists these days. They're very good at it, and it highlights something that is very clear about the production of this whole film, which seems like they just held open auditions for people who can do impressive physical things and picked their favorites and just decided, we're going to find a place for your weird physical skill in this 5.5 minute long airline safety video. There's no actual reason for contortionists to be in this video. It's not like they're doing just gun to my fucking comedy head, contorting themselves to fit in the bin over the seats, which is a funny visual that you would do if your assignment was, I have a contortionist and I'm making an airline safety video. What's the most reasonable thing I could do with them?
Yeah.
Bend them up and put them in the thing or put them in a suitcase. They don't do that. They serve no function other than being impressive to anyone who is watching the video.
Yeah, their arms are on backwards while they're in a chair. It's very strange. I was going to say this came out around the same time as a show called So You Think You Can Dance, which is just American Idol for dancing. And it was almost the exact same vibe and the exact same like casting call of dancers. Like clearly the show is like, oh, we need one of these weird bone breaker guys. We need somebody who can run around on their wrists, on their tummy.
Yeah.
And so they're, when this came out, I'm like, oh, somebody watches that show. It was just like so clearly lifted directly.
Yeah.
And it's just about as soulless as Mario Lopez, who hosted that show. It all comes together. Anyway, let's get to the sexualized little girl rap, because there is a sexualized little girl rap.
Yo, now that you're bopping your head to the rap scene, now that your eyes all glued to the flat screen, if the cabin pressure's changing, you know that we won't be leaving you hanging. Pull your mask down first, don't worry, oxygen flows. Tighten the straps after placing on your mouth and your nose. If you're traveling with someone, like a child for instance, put your mask on first before you offer assistance.
Thank you for cutting off before the robots.
That is a little girl lip syncing to an adult voice about making sure you don't pass out on a plane in the event of an emergency.
Yes, with very precocious body rolls.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm a prude exactly, but I wish you didn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, it's kind of, it's again, back to sort of basic filmmaking is like the first thing a character does is usually supposed to tell you something big about that character, and the first thing this very young child does is like Hulk kick a plane in half and then start gyrating like Shakira, and you're just like, all right,
Yeah.
I don't want to see any more of that.
She got reverse bigged, I hope.
Yeah.
Or this is real fucking weird.
That's your best case. Best case scenario is a reverse big. And Dan pointed this out in the article, but it's weird that the child delivers the message that you should help yourself before helping the kid.
Good point.
Like that it makes it feel really dark when like she's looking straight at you, making hard eye contact, going like, "Do not save me, should I suffocate?" Like
there was a real tendency in the article to lean on the usefulness of this video as like an effective safety preparation film. And I didn't want to lean into it too much just because it felt like I didn't want to be a pearl clutching square and be like, but I don't even feel safe after watching this video. But this felt like a moment where you really can point out the strange directorial decision to have the save yourself first and the child, if there's time, bit delivered by an actual child.
I have seen so many thousands of safety videos. There's no fucking way in the world I am putting the mask on myself before I put it on my daughter. It's just the stupidest thing to try to train a parent to do. It's just no chance.
what if your daughter looks right at you and says, "Allow me to suffocate should that happen"?
No, here's your mask. I can hold my breath for 11 more seconds. Certainly
Papa,
better.
no, Papa, recall our training, Papa.
But that's the other thing, is if it was really this vital, which I don't think it is. I think they could have. You could do something really haunting where like the father puts the mask on the child first and then dies, and the child's like shaking their dead body. That would stick with you. That would get that training drilled into you.
Right. I think that like the conventional wisdom is like just acknowledge that if the pilot came back to the plane and realized that it was full of dead adults and panicking, breathing children, you understand why that's bad for the greater good, right? And like on some level I do, but I also feel like if the pilot came back there and it was a bunch of breathing and now miserable adults next to child corpses, that's also not helping anyone.
None of it's great.
Neither are ideal situations. We cut next to some suited men in sunglasses robot dancing, and I don't really want to dwell on this section. It has the energy of a Will Smith Grammy sketch, and I don't like
really
it.
Good way to put it.
That's all.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say about
There's
it.
another thing that we haven't mentioned yet is that these songs are really infectious, and you are stuck on a plane with hundreds of people who have probably very weak wills, and they'll start singing this after the song is done. The flight attendants have heard it 800 times each day for weeks.
Yeah.
So they'll be singing it. And so it just kind of haunts the rest of the flight. The fucking words from this song. Under your seat, there's a life vest. You'll hear that so many times.
Which, like, it makes you almost think that, like, that makes it an effective safety video. But the parts that stick in your head aren't, like, useful.
No.
It's not, oh, here's what I do. You're like, it's just that. It's just the guys going over and over in my fucking head. What do I do with that?
The part that sticks in my head the most is like the chorus at the end where they're like, fly away with me, fly away with me. That if like the plane was going down, it was like, okay, remember your safety training. Fly away with me. Nope. Was there anything catchy about the oxygen mask? Oh no, that was a freestyle rap from a sexy child for some reason. That didn't stick in my head.
Yep. My brain rejected that.
Next come the sultry stewardess gang, who are really horny for the evacuation plans, which is an interesting choice. Like, they come out all hip wiggles and
It's like
Catwoman
a full
walks.
mambo number.
And then the lead one wrist locks like a biker passenger for no reason and just flips him away. Like, it should have been tied to something, like the contortionist in the bin. Like, if you don't think you can handle the duties of the exit aisle and then she fucking flips him or something. Like, it's easy to put that somewhere, but to put it nowhere it's insane.
I'm glad that you mentioned how sexy they are, because I feel comfortable saying this in a podcast more than I did writing it. Because, like, you know, if this were 15 years ago and I was writing for Cracked and there was a commercial with an attractive woman on it, that's enough in those days to be the entire article. But now it's less helpful to just be like, and let's talk about how fucking hot everyone is in this video. But now that it's come up organically, it's not just a horny video. It's like wall to wall the sexiest adults I've ever seen in one space collected ever. It's like a casting call that was like, we need you either to be really good at terrifying dances and crawling on the floor like a weird spider monster, or just the hottest person I've ever seen who is capable of wearing a flight attendant outfit.
Yeah. And you pointed this out in the
got them
article
all.
where our boy Todrick comes out and grabs the hottest one and starts humping on her, looking directly into camera with like this smug ownership on his face. Like he just took your girl.
Yeah, Mr. Steal Your Girl slides in and wants you to feel bad about it. And like, yeah, I do. It's effective filmmaking.
Don't like it at all.
And all of that, I like how jarring they're like, this gets powerfully sexy here, and like, these people are clearly like shorthand for fucking right now. And then we abruptly cut to the backwards running spider freaks. To be like, oh, as you head to the exit, you will be pursued by backwards hand running spider freaks.
And let's mention that
So,
he is also,
remember that.
this man is famously gay. He's not doing it because he wants it. He's doing it to hurt you.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, well, though, there's the Tone Loc little boy that does the smoking announcements.
Okay, so this one's important for all you smokers out there. It's never allowed here, so don't you forget.
Don't forget.
Federal law prohibits tampering, destroying, disabling smoke detectors, so don't touch that cigarette. Don't you do it.
It's a tiny boy with an afro and sunglasses and a full suit, and it looks very funny to hear the deep man voice coming out of the little boy voice. I feel like this is where the video shows its strings as one that is made by perhaps not a comedy snob, because the move of a voice coming out of a body that does not match. They do that move 3 times in this video.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about like someone else's lip syncing. It's like the little girl who raps with an adult girl voice, the little boy who speaks with a Tone Loc voice, and then later they'll have an adult, kind of bigger black man lip syncing to like an opera trained female presenting voice. That is like, it's a joke to a lot of people. It's not a formal joke or anything like that, but it's like an AI nun comedy book level of jokesmanship, really, where it's like voice coming out of place you wouldn't expect it. That's comedy, right? That works in the schoolyard, right?
Plus, there's that dog that pops his head up and says, "Kill the makers of this video. Kill them now."
That's right.
You guys saw the dog, right?
I saw the dog, but it was weird. It was only on the 3rd time that I watched it.
Okay, right.
I'm not sure how they did that. That was really impressive. Of everything else they did wrong, that was really good filmmaking. And to give it my mother's face, what?
Mine said play the video again. I don't know what you guys... I thought that was just...
Show it to others or die.
Like Dan said, it's the shape of a joke where they have like the little kid and he's got the Tone Loc voice. Like, yeah, whatever, Looney Tunes did this kind of shit all the time. What they didn't have to do was they had him during that whole segment teleporting rapidly into the laps of attractive women who look at him with a mix of intrigue and lust.
Yeah.
Like,
That's weird.
just an unforced error right there. Like, if you sexualize one child in your flight safety video, okay, that could happen to anybody. But 2, that's a pattern.
If you're familiar with music tropes, the deep-voiced talk breakdown is like a staple in early R&B fuck jams. So this is you're using the tropes and language of sexy time, because that everybody knows what it means in the middle of your R&B song, and after like all the great tenors have been singing, that someone comes in and is like, now I just want to talk to all you ladies out there. You know, it's like, oh, now it's time to get wet.
I'm listening.
Mixing that on purpose with, once again, like a 10-year-old boy as the deliverer of that message. And it's like, why are you conflating these 2 things? It's a bridge farther than little boy with adult man voice. It's specifically little boy with sexy time bedroom adult man voice.
It's a troubling choice.
And it's the 2nd time they do it.
Yeah.
You didn't have to do it once. It's a flight safety video. You really got to work. You got to work to make that one. And we kind of come together for the final cabin check, which in this terrible universe that should not be means like everyone comes together for the musical finale and all the tropes are...
And we, per the video's instructions, we come together and we leave that cum in our seats.
where it belongs. One character walks dramatically toward the screen, kind of talk singing their speech. Another drops in behind to support them. Like, you can picture this from every musical. And the music swells, and we cut to the passengers who are all, like, showing their solidarity for this moment by standing up and swinging around and rising as one.
Like you do on Upflight.
Yeah, the direct opposite of what they were just told to do by the safety video. And I'll just play... Dan's right, the last part is pretty catchy. I'm going to play the last part.
Here is something for which I am so grateful. This is, it's never been more important to be on a podcast that doesn't film me. It would destroy my career if people saw video evidence of what I did just now during the end of this song.
Oh no.
Which like some very serious dancing, and also like, I know all these lyrics. It's not even close. I could paint this video from memory, and I'm singing along as I would to my favorite song, because hey, maybe I am. Maybe that's exactly what I'm doing right now.
Did you do the little hand plane when the plane flies away?
I did the little hand plane.
You fucking did.
I did.
Hell
I
yeah.
knew you did.
I was holding both headphones, eyes closed, just belting it out like I'm recording a Cheerios commercial. Like my...
Oh shit! So that's their big finale. All of our beloved characters.
It's so rousing and so useless. Like, that was 30 seconds long, and none of it had anything to do with safety. That was just a big climax to like seatbelts, sexy kids. It was fucking crazy.
If anything, it undoes everything they just did, because everybody's just going fucking nuts. Like, they're just running all over the place, dancing, swinging their arms wildly. Right after they said, now it's time to sit still and put your tray tables up and buckle your seatbelt and do nothing. And then everybody goes nuts, like you said, the special word of the day. That's it. It's subjectively, I will say that's probably the most quote unquote fun flight safety video of all time. Objectively, it has to be the worst to ever do it.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. The Delta Airline video, I think, might be worse at safety.
For now, yes. Okay, for now, it's the worst. We'll get to that one in the bonus episode. Now for the crimes. A little background info. Like I mentioned earlier, the music, at least the music part of this, there was a different director, John Chu. The music part was spearheaded by Todrick Hall, the American Idol semifinalist, also alleged fraud and sex pest. His previous assistant, which incredible that he warrants that level of fame warrants an assistant. His previous assistant has documents, he says, and accused him of like serial harassment of basically everyone he ever worked with and sexual misconduct.
You're right, Brockway. The assistant part is what's weird about that.
Well, to me, like, I have found historically, every time there's a piece of art that's bad enough and I dig into it, there's always crime.
Yes.
It's always illegal. So I'm not very surprised. Anyway, I don't know if all the allegations are true, but also several of his previous collaborators all insist he just never paid them. So he did... Oh. He did have to settle with that, and he had to settle a sexual harassment lawsuit, and he was also sued for unpaid rent. So, again, the success that being a semifinalist on American Idol will get you. The big one, his collaborator for this song was Noemi Del Rio. She is the voice of the sexualized little girl, which, why would you take credit for that unless you had been forced to? Mm-hmm. She says she never gave permission to use her voice in this, which I would also say if I saw the video, and that she was also not paid for this.
Daniel made such a funny point in the article about how the fuck would that be possible to to record that song, having no idea what it would be used for while you sing about overhead lights and cigarettes.
What did you think you were doing that day?
Right.
I think she maybe was like, okay, well, I'll make the song and they'll do a fun little safety video. And then she saw it and they gave her voice to the sexualized little girl. And she's like, I revoke consent. I revoke the invitation. The vampire must flee out the window.
But the lyrics are, I'm 10 years old, body roll, body roll. Here's how a seatbelt works. Like, you had to know what this was going to be for.
Yeah.
Todrick sold this song to Virgin Airline for, this article says $3,000, which I hope is a series of typos.
That seems
Otherwise,
like
it's really
a
funny.
fine deal, right? Like, if you would have said $1 million, I'd be like, fuck you. $3,000, like, yeah, that's like a contract rate for this type of
That
gig.
titty shaking nun alone cost $3,000, I promise.
Well, yeah, that's
Like
a
the
2-day
spider
shoot to
dancing
get those
hand
titties
runners?
to knock together right.
That's $3,000.
Yep.
Now, is it saying, because I came across that article at some point too, but I don't have it in front of me. Is it saying that he sold them the song rights, or the whole video was sold to Virgin America for $3,000?
Well, it words it vaguely, but in watching the behind the scenes for it, it definitely had a different director named John Chu, and they definitely said like that Virgin put together the whole production, and it seemed to allude that Todrick was the one responsible for the song, and he definitely was responsible for large parts, if not the whole, because he says the music, the everything, it all came, and the choreography, it came to him together in like one piece. So I'm assuming they meant just the song part for $3,000, which is still really funny to me.
The idea of it coming from him and not like Virgin America has a contest come up with a Virgin America flight song or video, or that Virgin America has like a stable of creatives that they're reaching out to. The idea that it's just him who was like, it came to me in a vision, a creative musical extravaganza, Virgin America safety video. I have it all in my head, and I've written a rough draft of the song. That is bonkers. That is an insane, like dreaming up a music video for a safety video for an airline, a thing that didn't exist until he made it. It's not like he's dreaming up a sitcom.
They could have given him $50, and if he says, no, I want $3,000, they're like, okay, well, sell it to someone else.
No.
Or did you make it specifically? or is this the one time you'll ever be able to sell this thing that you made?
Whatever the case was, he was at least appropriately punished for this, because he sold the music for $3,000, and Virgin America eventually settled with the rapping little girl with Noemi Del Rio for $200,000.
Good for her.
So she made 66 times more than the composer. Okay.
Sometimes there's justice.
Einstein, 100, Frankfurt. Einstein, 100, Frankfurt. Unser Podcast genau. Und mit maximalen Schau. Dogg Frankfurt Podcast. Korrekt. Ja. Der Kraft ist nicht gratis, nicht ohne. Schick die in die Hundezone. 4 eine Stunde. Komm schon, du kennst die Nummer.